3 a.m. terror. She was alone when he gripped her arm. The insane truth that stopped her cold. It was pitch black outside, the kind of darkness that soaked into your bones. The clock struck 3, and a shiver crawled up Jenna's spine. Every shadow in her small apartment felt alive, the corners whispering secrets she couldn't decipher. Just moments ago, her phone had pinged with a message, an ordinary, harmless notification, but the hairs on her arm raised as if something sinister was lurking. The streets below were silent, but a distant rustle made her heart race. It was just the wind, she told herself. Just the wind. But then she heard it. A soft scrape, like nails on glass. Her body froze. The sound swirled around her, chilling her to the core. She stepped cautiously toward the window, her heart thumping like a war drum. Outside, the world beyond her glass cocoon was a swirling abyss of shadow. Why did it have to be tonight of all nights? She squinted, searching for life, for anything that might explain the noise. A flicker of movement. A fleeting figure darted past, cloaked in shadows. Jenna's breath hitched. It looked like a person, but something wasn't right. The silhouette was too still, as if it were a statue in a gallery of nightmares. She clenched her fists, trying to steady the racing in her chest as she inched closer to the window. Suddenly, a sharp rap echoed against the glass. Startled, she stepped back, slamming her arm against the edge of the table. Pain shot through her arm, but it was nothing compared to the fear gripping her throat. Just outside, standing there bathed in moonlight, was a man. He looked straight at her, lips pulled in a chilling grin. Her breath caught, lungs collapsing in panic. The man raised his hand, and in one swift motion, he gripped the edge of the window frame, demonstrating strength that seemed impossible. Just then, a phone alert pinged again. A lifeline to the outside world, or another source of dread. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The man's eyes glinted, dark holes that seemed to suck in the light around them. Jenna's mind raced. Who was he? What did he want? Suddenly, he leaned in closer, and his breath fogged the glass, a ghostly exhale that shattered the silence, sending chills down her spine. She was paralyzed, caught between the urge to flee and the need to stay. Everything inside her screamed run, but her legs felt like lead. The man's expression morphed from a grin to something darker, more predatory, as he mouthed words she couldn't hear. Just when Jenna thought she might faint, the figure darted away, vanishing into the thick shroud of darkness. Her heart pounded against her ribcage, screaming for release. What just happened? What had he wanted? Was she safe now, or was this just the beginning of something worse? Each question twisted her gut tighter, and she could feel every breath struggle to break free. She had to know the truth, and the night was far from over. Jenna stood there, pulse racing, teetering on the edge of fear and confusion. The emptiness wrapped around her like a thick fog, and the haunting image of that man burned into her mind. What had just happened? Had she imagined it? She shook her head, trying to dispel the shadowy memory. Then, her phone chimed yet again. This time it was a notification from a local news app. 3 unsolved disappearances reported last week. The headline sent a fresh wave of dread crashing over her. Were they connected? She glanced nervously around her dim apartment, each shadow now a potential threat. The table lamp flickered, filling the room with an ominous flicker that briefly illuminated every corner. She needed to calm down. Breathing exercises from her previous yoga classes surfaced in her mind. Slowly, in and out, in and out. But the orderly rhythm was broken by an unexpected dull thud against her front door. Jenna's heart stopped. Hello? She called, voice trembling. Silence met her, a heavy blanket that engulfed the space. She peered through the peephole, anxiety coiling tighter in her gut. Just darkness. She swallowed hard, debating whether to open the door or hide. Then came a soft, deliberate knock again. Her hand pressed against the cold metal of the doorknob. Adrenaline surged like wildfire through her veins as she hesitated. Who could it be? Was it him? Was he coming back? Please, I just want to talk, a muffled voice called, barely above a whisper. Jenna's pulse raced. The voice was neither familiar nor comforting. It was a blend of desperation and something else, a chill that curled around her spine. Talk. About what? Who are you? She demanded, praying she could mask her trembling fear with a facade of courage. Just let me in. The voice was more insistent now, and a shiver ran through her body. I can help you. You saw him, didn't you? The man? How do you know about him? A pause hung in the air, thick with tension. We don't have time for that. You're not safe. Not while he's out there. Jenna's mind raced. She had been wrong to think she was alone. Could this stranger be telling the truth? But if he was lying, if he was involved somehow. Stay back. She shouted, heart pounding as she fumbled for her phone. She needed to call 911, get someone here. But her hands were shaking uncontrollably. Just then, the lights flickered again, and for a split second, Jenna saw movement from the corner of her eye, a figure darting outside her window. The man was back. Panic shot through her chest. With a surge of instinct, Jenna lunged for the back door, mind racing with thoughts of escape. But before she could reach it, a loud crash erupted behind her. Glass shattered, the intruder had broken in. Jenna! You have to listen to me. The muffled voice shouted again, now with urgency. She felt trapped, cornered, the walls of her small apartment closing in. Her heartbeat thundered in her ears. What was her next move? Fight, flee, or trust this mysterious voice? As she turned, the stranger's shadowy figure burst through the threshold, and everything went dark. What was about to happen next? In that moment, Jenna felt a sinking dread, grappling with the terrifying notion that this was only the beginning of something far more horrifying. Could she trust anyone at all? She had to find a way out, but would she even survive the night? The world faded to black, the room spinning around Jenna as the figure lunged forward. Her heart banged loudly in her chest, and she instinctively recoiled, but there was no escape. Strong arms wrapped around her, the grip unyielding, and darkness enveloped her as if she were slipping into an abyss. Jenna, please. The voice broke through the fog, still an echo of urgency, but the shadows blurred the source. Listen to me. With a jolt, Jenna blinked, the light slowly filtering back into focus. She was shoved against the wall, breathless and trembling. The figure was closer now, a man, but not the one she feared. He was disheveled, eyes wide with an intensity that made her pulse quicken anew. His clothes were torn and stained, and there was a sense of desperation in his gaze that both terrified and intrigued her. Who are you? She gasped, fully aware of the danger but equally gripped by curiosity. I'm here to help, he insisted, glancing toward the shattered glass of her front door. He's coming. We have to go. Go where? Panic surged through Jenna, mixing with the beating of her heart. What are you talking about? Who's coming? A loud crash echoed from outside, sending shivers racing down her spine. The sound was heavy, purposeful. Shadows moved outside her window again, footsteps creeping closer. They're looking for you. You saw him, didn't you? The man in the alley? Jenna swallowed, her throat dry. She remembered the face-cold eyes, a smirk that signified something far more sinister. Yes, but why? Because you're a witness, Jenna. You're in danger. He knows you saw and he won't stop until you're silenced. His words sliced through her confusion, igniting a flare of realization. She couldn't just dismiss this. Jenna thought of the news stories, the disappearances. Was this connected somehow? Did she hold a key to something larger? But why you? Why should I trust you? Because I've been tracking him, I know his methods. This isn't just about you, it's about everyone he has taken. You have to believe me. Before she could respond, another noise erupted outside, louder this time, a voice, male and aggressive, calling her name. Panic gripped her gut. Jenna. Open the door. You know me. Her heart sank. It was Mark, her neighbor. He wouldn't come unless he thought something was wrong. But what if the dangerous man was nearby, too? What if they were both a threat? Come on, get moving. The stranger urged, backing toward the kitchen door. We can't do this in here. We need to get out now. The shadows thickened, and Jenna felt her resolve cracking. Could she really trust this man? Did she have any choice? Please, Jenna, the stranger pleaded, inching closer to her. They're coming. If you're not careful, you won't make it out of here tonight. The weight of his words hung heavy in the air. Mark continued to shout, panic and insistence boiling over. Jenna. I know you're in there. Please, let me in. In that moment, Jenna felt a terror deeper than before. Trust was a fickle thing and time was running out. If she opened the door to Mark, she might expose herself to the very danger the stranger warned her about. But if she didn't, she risked being trapped with a man she barely knew, or worse, with the man who was hunting her. She was stuck at a crossroads, the decision burning in her chest. Which way would lead to escape and which to ruin? Jenna, we need to move now. The stranger's voice was raw with fear, but just then, a chilling thought struck her like lightning. What if she opened that door only to unleash hell? Wait, she said slowly, feeling an icy dread crawl up her spine. What if I let him in? The room went silent. In those fleeting moments, Jenna realized the enormous gamble she had to take, with her life hanging in the balance. Jenna's heart raced louder than ever, a drum echoing in her ears as she weighed her options. The stranger's face was a mix of fear and urgency, his hands clenching and unclenching, as if he were trying to convince her to follow him while he battled a storm within himself. Mark's muffled voice broke through her thoughts again, each syllable steeped in concern. Jenna. Please. Let me in. I can help you. And just like that, the darkness at the edges of her thoughts pushed forward. She remembered those news reports, the missing people, faces ghosting across her TV screen like a nightmare that twisted deeper as she laid in bed at night. Was helping a comforting word, or had it become a mere disguise for something darker? That man outside, you think he's one of them? She whispered to the stranger. I know he's dangerous. You can't let him in. He snapped, the desperation spilling forth like a flood. With urgency, he moved in closer, invading her space, his breath warm and frantic against her cold skin. Listen, if you trust him over me, I can't protect you from what is coming. But if you stay here, you'll be a sitting duck. Jenna felt trapped. Each second felt like an eternity. Who was she supposed to believe? A neighbor who risked his safety to call out for help? Or this stranger, who possessed knowledge that swirled dangerously close to the horrific truths she had only suspected were out there? The rattling doorknob brought her back to the present, a hard twist followed by a painful thud that shook the frame. Jenna. I heard you scream. Are you okay? Mark's voice was filled with panic, trembling strands of sincerity. Help me. Jenna screamed back, releasing the words before the fear silenced the sentiment. It hung in the air, a prayer and a plea. Could she afford to let Mark in? She held her breath as the chance to shatter the silence and bring him closer glimmered within reach. Don't trust him. Move. The stranger insisted, his voice breaking through her haze of confusion, snapping her mind back to desperation. If you don't leave now, you'll regret it. Mark was still outside, his hands slamming against the door with a sickening thud that sent vibrations up her arm. I need you to trust me. Just let me in. One glance at the stranger's eyes told Jenna the truth. Whatever danger lay beyond that door was made all the more palpable by the man's rigid frame and haunted expression. Let him in. Shouted a voice from somewhere in her mind, echoing in the void. She backed away from the door, heart hammering against her ribs with every thought. I can't, she shook her head, paralyzed, torn between safety and the unknown. Suddenly, another crash knocked hard against the door, the frame splintering under the force as the darkness pressed inward, threatening to slice through her defenses like an unyielding knife. The sounds grew, frantic footsteps pounding toward her from the hall, chaotic echoes racing to reach her first. Jenna! Mark shouted, his voice descending into a roar, the command poised to break her apart. Move, Jenna! Now! The stranger's voice surged with authority that sliced through the wild fluctuations of her heartbeat. In a single moment of clarity, she felt the weight of choice crashing down. It wasn't just a matter of open or close. It was about survival, of diving into the deep end of uncertainty. With a quick, trembling breath, Jenna made her decision. But before she could act, the door splintered open with a sickening crack, revealing the chaos outside. Both men stood prepared, a storm ready to collide a split second without any guarantee of safety. And then she looked into the depths of her future, wondering in horror what would ensue. The last echo of her thoughts shimmered with uncertainty, gnawing at her. Had she chosen the wrong path? Just as the chaos erupted, she braced herself, forcing herself to confront the truth she feared the most. In this moment of decision, she might unleash a reality far worse than the shadows closing in. What awaited her on the other side? The splintering door flew open with a violent swing, sending both Jenna and the stranger stumbling back. The world outside morphed into a blurred frenzy. Screams sliced through the air, mingling with frantic footsteps and the clang of metal against metal. Mark burst through the doorway, eyes wild and filled with panic. In the chaos, Jenna spotted a figure just behind him, a dark silhouette, snarling and looming. It moved like water flowing through cracks, ready to seep into every corner. Get back! Mark shouted, body rigid, trying to edge between Jenna and the uncertainty behind him. Fear twisted inside her, she felt frozen as shadows crept closer, crawling like guilt over her skin. Trust me. Mark implored, his voice desperate as it clawed at her rationale. But Jenna stole a glance at the stranger next to her, his expression as tortured as her own, as if he too sensed the terror tightening its grip around them. Please. She whispered more to herself than anyone, clenching her fists, battling her rising anxiety. The room felt smaller, the walls pressing in, taunting her with the choice she had to make. Jenna, focus. Mark broke into her thoughts, the urgency thickening his voice. We need to get out now. It's not safe here. The stranger behind Mark moved, shifting closer to the door like a predator sizing up his next meal. No. He's not who you think he is. The words shot out of him, sharp and accusatory. He's one of them. Jenna's heart plummeted. Was it true? Everything she felt about him, all the fleeting comfort in the familiarity of his presence, was it a lie? Then came the shrill sound of metal scraping against metal, tearing through the chaos, distracting everyone momentarily. Jenna's instincts erupted as she bent down instinctively, not knowing why. In that split second, a heavy black bag collided with her, sending her sprawling to the floor. Get up! Mark yelled, panic lacing every syllable, while the stranger lunged forward, trying to pull both of them out of danger. The world was a swell of emotion and movement, chaos writhing around her. Jenna scrambled to her feet, gasping for clarity as she sought refuge in their faces. Mark's struggle to mask his fear faltered, his resolve peeling under the pressure of the moment. The stranger, on the other hand, radiated an intensity impossible to ignore, eyes glistening like they held secrets. She kicked into survival mode, memories of every victim she had seen on the news flashed through her mind like a horrific slideshow. What is happening? She whispered, her voice barely a breath, as incoming footsteps and shadows crept ominously around them. Before Mark could answer, the stranger surged forward, wresting control over Jenna's hand, pulling her away. This way. Trust me. His grip was tight, grounding her even through her confusion. This isn't happening. Jenna gasped, trying to break free from his grasp, her mind swirling with conflicting thoughts. She tore her gaze from Mark, from the familiar comfort she once took in their proximity. The reality was darker, and she feared the truth that danced right behind shadowy figures edging closer. Listen. The stranger turned, intensity radiating from him. There's no time for hesitation. If you don't come with me now, you'll regret it. Mark lunged toward her, desperation shadowing his eyes. Stop. Don't listen to him. He's lying, he's part of this. The tension swelled to the point of eruption, heartbeats racing, emotions colliding like a full-blown car crash. Jenna couldn't pull herself from the whirlpool she was caught in. Then she felt it, a trembling sensation creeping down her spine. Something didn't add up. In that moment, she realized there was heat beyond the door, not only the chaos awaiting them but a singular, chilling invader that seemed poised to shatter all sound. Please, Jenna's voice cracked. She could feel all eyes locked onto hers, each man awaiting her decision with bated breath. What truth waited in the depths of the panic? Would she choose the light illuminating Mark's hope, or plunge with the stranger into the shadows where all sense of certainty evaporated? Before she could make the call, an explosion rocked the house, the world outside roaring as shadows morphed into a monstrous wave, pushing through the remnants of her fragile reality. And in that deafening silence that followed, one question hung in the air: what awaited them before dawn broke? The blast sent a shudder through the ground beneath Jenna's feet. She gasped, eyes wide, as shards of wood and debris rained down around them. Adrenaline surged, and a decision seemed to blur into a haze, but the urgency of the moment cut through like a knife. Now! Move! The stranger yelled, tugging at her wrist with a fierce determination that startled her. The intensity in his eyes was hard to ignore, and despite her instinct screaming in protest, she felt an inexplicable impulse to follow him. Mark's hand shot out, desperation twisting his features. Jenna, don't. Please, don't go with him. His voice cracked, full of uncontained fear and desperation. Each urgent plea felt like a rope trying to tether her to safety, but the reality of the situation crashed over her like a tidal wave. The doorframe splintered outward with another thundering impact, the shadows enveloping them like hungry wolves inching closer with every heartbeat. Jenna, come on. The stranger's grip tightened around her wrist, pulling her toward the hallway where darkness loomed beyond. She could hear the restless echoes of panic, screams blended with menacing footsteps reverberating in her bones. With her heart pounding violently, Jenna stumbled forward, torn between connectivity and chaos. Mark's face faded as they drew further away, fear rising like bile. You'll regret this. He shouted, his voice just piercing enough to make her skin prickle. They dashed through the narrow hallway, the weight of uncertainty hanging heavily in the air, sweat sticking her hair to her forehead. Jenna could hear chaos whispering at her heels, and the stranger didn't stop. He led her through a rear exit, into the dark alley behind the building. Outside, moonlight cascaded like silver shards, illuminating a scene too surreal to grasp. There were cries echoing up and down the street, flashlights bobbing like fireflies in distress. A distant wail of sirens begged for help. Stay close. The stranger hissed, glancing back at her with an edge of urgency. He moved like a shadow himself, slipping past walls and debris as if he were made to vanish in the darkness. Jenna struggled to keep pace, panic locking her thoughts. Who are you? She blurted out, desperation scraping at her throat. What's happening? His jaw tightened as he leaned closer, urgency suffusing his features. I'm not your enemy, Jenna. You need to trust me. They're coming for all of us. Why should I believe you? Her voice trembled, angling for strength in the swirling chaos around them. Because I want to save you. He growled, eyes ablaze with intensity, as if the very truth of his words could ignite the night. That explosion, it was just the beginning. They won't stop until they find you. You have something they need. What do you mean? Confusion twisted her stomach, but deep down, she felt something flicker, a tiny glimmer of hope tangled with terror. Before he could respond, a piercing light flooded the alley, sweeping down towards them. Jenna's heart raced as she spun around, dread pooling in her gut. Shadows blurred into solid shapes, figures closing in like vultures drawn to a carcass. Run! The stranger shouted, propelling her forward as he intercepted another figure darting from the shadows. The sound of a scuffle echoed, punches landing, and she could smell the adrenaline buzzing in the air. Jenna hesitated, torn. Should she escape or look back? The shrieks of panic around her wrapped like chains around her legs. Jenna! The stranger's voice cut through the chaos, snapping back her wandering thoughts. Now! We have to get to the warehouse. It's our only chance. The weight of whatever was threatening them loomed closer, dread hammering at her chest. Clenching her jaw, she fought against the pull to turn around. She darted into the night, heart racing, but she knew one thing for sure: they were trapped in a web of danger too intricate to unravel. What secret lay hidden within that warehouse? And why did she feel like she was running toward the truth when all she wanted was to escape it? Jenna's feet pounded against the grimy pavement, each step pushing her deeper into a tunnel of uncertainty. The alley's shadows enveloped her, but there was no turning back. There was only forward, toward the promise of safety, or so she hoped. Is it far? She gasped, her breath coming quick and shallow. The stranger didn't answer right away, his focus darting to the flickering lights on the street. He was assessing, calculating, like a lone wolf readying for battle. Yes, he finally replied, his voice tight, but we have to hurry. They're closer than you think. The weight of his words settled in the pit of her stomach. Who were they? The images of flashing lights and chaos felt surreal, like a nightmare refusing to fade upon waking. What do you even know about me? She fired back, anger blooming amidst her fear. It was crazy, being chased by unknown threats. Why would anyone want me? They want something you didn't know you had, he answered, urgency coating his voice. At the warehouse, you'll find out, but we don't have much time. Ahead, the street opened up, revealing a crumbling structure that loomed like a derelict guardian, a warehouse cloaked in mystery. Heart racing, Jenna felt threads of anxiety knotting tighter as they pulled toward the entrance. What waited inside? The darkness felt like a monster ready to swallow them whole. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed behind them, a shot ringing out that shattered the thin veil of the night. Pounding footsteps chased after them, heavy and relentless. Jenna felt her pulse spike, a sharp jolt of fear coursing through her body. Go! Go! The stranger urged, pushing her toward the door as he glanced back. She hesitated, fear dancing behind her eyes, but the look on his face ignited a flame of desperation inside her. Jenna lunged forward, yanking open the heavy door and diving inside. The air was stale, filled with the smell of rust and damp wood, but she didn't stop to unpack that eerie sensation. She hurried through, glancing around at the looming shelves stacked with shadows. The outside world faded away, the booms of chaos dulled as they stepped into an eerie silence. Turn on your phone's flashlight, the stranger whispered urgently, eyes scanning the dark. Jenna fished her phone out, illuminating the area with a weak glow. Dust motes danced in the beam, creating a ghostly atmosphere that enveloped them. What now? She asked, the faint light shaking in her hand alongside the tremors of her fear. They were both running on empty, adrenaline seeping away in the stillness. Find the back room, he said, scanning the dimly lit space. The answers are there. But Jenna hesitated, something gnawing at her insides. What if this is all a trap? Panic threatened to spill over as her mind ran wild, imagining the worst. It's not. Please, Jenna. His voice shook with urgency, compelling her to trust him. I promise, I'll explain everything. Just please. She steeled herself, stepping further into the room, and the weight of their situation began to stifle her. With every passing second, she felt the threats outside pulling tighter, the illusion of safety slipping away. The faint light flickered around a corner, a hint of movement drawing her attention. Jenna's breath caught as she dared to inch closer. Shadows twisted in an unnatural way, and she began to sense the palpable tension in the air. What is it? The stranger whispered, easily sensing her discomfort, but before she could reply, a high-pitched cry pierced the silence, echoing like a death knell. A figure darted from the darkness, stumbling to a stop as Jenna gasped, a younger girl, wide-eyed and trembling, just as terrified as she was. Help me. The girl cried out, desperation etched into her features. And for a moment, Jenna's heart broke at the sight, a mirror of her own fear, amplified by the unknown. But why was she here? Who was she? The stranger cursed under his breath, the urgency returning with full force. We have to keep moving, he said, eyes darting to the entrance. Suddenly, the moments they had managed to steal away started crumbling. A distant sound reverberated deep in the darkness, a threat lurking just beyond their grasp. Who are you? Jenna demanded, looking at the girl, pain and curiosity dancing in her voice. But as shadows crept closer, only uncertainty loomed. The night was far from over. As the stranger pulled Jenna away, the weight of questions clawed at her mind. What was the secret behind the girl, and who was coming for them next? The dread that something wicked was about to unfold nestled within her, a deep, unsettling truth that gripped her heart as tightly as the fear creeping in from the dark. Jenna's heart raced as she exchanged glances with the girl. Tears glistened in the wide, frightened eyes of the newcomer. This was no time for compassion, it was a fight for survival. But something about the girl's panic pulled at Jenna's instinct to protect. Who are you? The words escaped her lips, but the girl didn't answer. She trembled, her breath coming in quick, shallow gasps, and Jenna felt her own pulse quicken in response. The stranger edged closer, his face set in determination. We can't stay here. Come. He grabbed Jenna's arm and pulled her towards another direction, towards the shadows that loomed deeper inside the warehouse. Before Jenna could formulate a plan, the girl shivered and whispered, "They're coming. They're coming for all of us." They? The sense of imminent danger pulsed in the air as the previous sounds outside merged into a threatening crescendo. Jenna felt a cold sweat trickle down her spine. Wait. Jenna yanked her arm from the stranger. We can't just abandon her. What if she's in trouble too? Right now, we can't save everyone. He ran a hand through his hair, eyes darting to the looming darkness. Listen. I promise, if we allowed crash erupted from the far end of the warehouse, followed by the unmistakable sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the expansive space. Shadows danced along the walls, morphing into something sinister. Jenna's breath hitched in her throat, instinct screamed at her to run. But the girl stumbled, voicing her fear. Please, help me. I don't want to die like the others. Others? The word hung heavy in the air, twisting the knife of dread deeper into Jenna's heart. She had to know more, but for every question that formed, so did more shadows creeping closer. Listen to her. Jenna's voice was loud, urgent. She stepped toward the girl, feeling a pull of instinct stronger than fear. What do you mean by the others? The girl looked at her with wide eyes, panic painted on her pretty face. They took my family. They took them. I'm the only one left. Her voice cracked, and Jenna saw the weight of her words suffocating the air around them. Okay, Jenna said, heart pounding. We'll figure this out together, I promise. But doubts gnawed at her. What did she really know about either of these two? The stranger's patience wore thin. Jenna. We need to go. We're running out of time. Just as the tension peaked, a flashlight beam sliced through the shadows, zigzagging toward them. Jenna's breath caught, heavy boots followed the light, thundering closer, relentless in their pursuit. Now! She shouted, urgency pushing her to action. She grabbed the girl by the arm, dragging her toward the select path the stranger had been scanning. They raced into the depths of the warehouse, leaving the piercing beam of light behind them. Where do we go? Jenna snapped, glancing around at the maze of crates and machinery, shadows stretching ominously across the floor. The stranger pointed toward a door at the far end of the room, barely visible behind the dim light. The office. We might find something useful there. The footsteps grew louder, echoing in her ears like thunderclaps. Jenna felt trapped. They were animals cornered, and the predators were closing in. They sprinted towards the door, but Jenna stumbled, catching her foot on a broken board. Rage and fear mingled in her chest as she caught herself but felt the ground shake beneath her. Something was shifting, drawing nearer. Behind them, a harsh voice shouted, cracking through the tension. There they are. Jenna's heart dropped. She didn't dare look back. With one final surge of adrenaline, she lunged toward the door and burst through, pulling the others behind her. What lay beyond could be worse. It could be a dead end. Inside, the office was cluttered, suffocating papers strewn across a battered desk. Flickering fluorescent lights cast eerie shadows, deepening the cracks of fear etched into the walls. Lock it. The stranger ordered, pushing Jenna and the girl inside. I can't. Her hands shook as she fumbled for the heavy door, slamming it shut just in time that a pounding erupted against the wood. Open up. We know you're in there. Jenna pressed her back against the door, teeth clenched. Her heart thundered in her ears. What now? The air felt electric, as if the walls themselves held secrets zip-tied in darkness. Little did they know, the truth behind the girl's words wasn't the only peril lurking in the shadows. What are they after? Jenna whispered. A loud clang echoed from the other side of the door, and a voice sliced through her thoughts, chilling her to the bone. This is just the beginning. As another crash shook the door, the uncertainty clung tighter. The night was just starting to spin out of control, and the answers rested somewhere within the shadows they couldn't escape. What awaited them out there? That chilling thought lingered, just out of reach. The door creaked ominously as the heavy pounding continued, each thud echoing like a drumbeat of dread in Jenna's chest. She pressed her palms against the flimsy wood, feeling it vibrate with the force of whoever was on the other side. Who are they? Jenna breathed, her voice barely above a whisper as panic clawed at her throat. The girl stood close, shivering and transfixed by the sound, a fragile shadow under the flickering fluorescent lights. I don't know, the stranger replied, his eyes wide with urgency. But it sounds like they mean business. He darted a glance around the cluttered office, scanning for anything they could use. We need to find a way out. The girl's eyes darted between Jenna and the stranger, her breath hitching as fear darkened her features. Please, I can't go back. They'll take me like they took my family. Then we won't let that happen. Jenna's voice cracked, but she steadied herself. We'll find a way out together. Just hold on. She felt the weight of those words hanging in the air, unaware of the deeper truths tangled within her promise. With each echo of pounding fists, the uncertainty deepened. Suddenly, a shatter of glass pierced the tension, followed by a low, guttural laugh from the other side. The sound sent chills racing down Jenna's spine. You think you can hide? The voice taunted. We always find what we're looking for. Run. The stranger's command snapped Jenna from her terrified stupor. Before she could even process where to go, he dashed toward a half-open window at the far end of the room. Jenna grabbed the girl's arm, urging her to follow. Chop, chop. He yelled, pushing the window wide to reveal the dark alley beyond. We can make it if we climb out now. But as they rushed forward, the door exploded open, flinging splinters across the room. A hulking figure surged into the office, silhouetted by the dim light. Jenna's heart stopped. This was no ordinary human, his eyes glinted with a mania that chilled her to the bone. Thought you could escape? His twisted grin revealed teeth too sharp and too white against the darkness. The atmosphere thickened, feeling electric with danger. Go! Jenna shouted, forcing the girl to leap through the window first. She didn't look back as the screams outside mingled with the echoes of fear, dread curling tightly in her stomach. The other way. Jenna screamed at the stranger as he hesitated, transfixed by the figure stalking closer. Hurry! With a final shove, Jenna pushed him toward the window. This way. Now! He nodded, scrambling through just as the figure lunged, fingers reaching for him. But Jenna was already at the window's edge, following the girl down into the night. The cool air hit her face, sharp and invigorating. They landed hard on the gravel below. Pain shot through her legs, but she fought it down, adrenaline sparking through her veins. The sounds above became more chaotic as the stranger tumbled down next, narrowly avoiding the grasp of the monstrous figure. "Did you see that?" he gasped, scrambling to his feet. "What was that thing?" As they turned to run, Jenna scanned the alley, desperate for an escape route. The shadows danced along the walls, and it felt like the night itself was alive, watching them, waiting. "I heard whispers," the girl murmured, her eyes reflecting fear and confusion. "They talk about things they can do. You shouldn't have helped me." The weight of those words hung heavy, and Jenna swore she could hear the whispers catching at the frayed edges of the night. "What do you mean?" Jenna's heart raced, the girl's words echoing painfully in her mind. She needed answers but had no time for questions. They had to keep moving. Whatever was following them would not be deterred for long. Without waiting for a reply, Jenna grabbed both their hands, leading them down the alley. Each step echoed with urgency, every turn a gamble against the threat lurking just out of sight. Behind them, the figure's laughter faded into the abyss, a chilling reminder that they weren't alone. "You can't outrun fate," that voice promised, clear and cutting through the night as they dashed around a corner. "Where are we going?" the girl panted, her breath misting in the cool air. "I don't know," Jenna cried, frustration surging. "But we can't stop. Not until we're far enough." As they rounded the next corner, Jenna's heart sank. Up ahead, a group of figures waited, lurking and whispering. A glimmer of silver caught her eye, a glint of something ominous. "Turn back," she shouted, halting them in their tracks. "What do we do now?" A gunshot rang out, slicing through the silence. Jenna's blood froze as screams erupted from the encroaching darkness. They had become prey in a game far beyond their understanding. With nowhere to run, she turned to the girl, determination flaming within her. "We need to stick together. No matter what." But the girl was staring past Jenna, a dawning horror transforming her as she pointed. They're not just here for me." Jenna followed the girl's gaze, dread pooling in her stomach as realization crashed over her. What had they stumbled into? And as the shadows enveloped them, Jenna knew they needed the answers before it was too late. The chaos inside the warehouse was a nightmarish swirl, shadows leaping and flickering against the walls as the echoes of panic cracked through the air. Jenna stood at the center of it all, heart racing, hands trembling, breath coming in sharp, desperate gasps. The girl's wide, terrified eyes mirrored her own fear. "Why are they here?" Jenna asked, forcing the words through the lump in her throat. "They're coming for anyone who knows too much," the girl choked out, her voice quavering as she inched closer to Jenna. "They take people like my family, and they're not going to stop until they find you." Before Jenna could respond, the pounding on the door intensified. The stranger, who had been running this whole journey, suddenly looked more uncertain, glancing between Jenna and the girl. "What do you mean they take people?" he asked, his voice strained, pulling Jenna's attention away from the mounting dread. "They collect witnesses," the girl gasped, fear weaving through her words. "They make sure anyone who can tell what they did never says a word again." Jenna felt her heart sink into her stomach. She thought about the news reports she'd seen, how people never returned home. The fragmented faces of those who disappeared flashed before her, now painfully familiar. "No," she whispered, realization crashing over her. "They want me because I saw him. The man outside." "Yes," the girl shouted, eyes darting to the door. "He's dangerous. You're in danger." The moment hung heavy, tension thickening the air as the pounding turned frantic, a relentless reminder of their looming doom. "Look, we need to get out," the stranger said, urgency anchoring his voice. "We can't wait for them to break through that door." "Where?" Jenna shot back, desperation lacing her tone. "Where do we go?" His eyes brought resolve as he pointed. "There's a fire escape at the end of the hallway. We can make it if we stick together. Now." As they moved, Jenna felt the vibration of the thuds against the door, all-consuming and terrifying, a rhythmic warning of the monster waiting just outside. The shadows morphed as they dashed through the office, and Jenna dared to hope the fire escape was right ahead. Almost there. She gasped, her legs burning with every heartbeat as adrenaline surged. Everyone's breath snarled tight with fear. Whoever was on the other side wanted them. But as they turned, the last corner bounded by wooden crates shifted into view. Jenna's breath caught up and tangled in her throat. Just beside the exit stood a figure, another monstrous silhouette blocking their path. Nowhere to run, it snarled, voice dripping with malice. The shadow stepped closer, revealing hollow eyes that gleamed in the sparse light like shards of glass. Go. Now. The stranger shouted, just as the figure lunged forward, hands clawing through the empty air. Jenna's instincts kicked in hard. Without thinking, she pulled both the girl and the stranger toward the fire escape, their feet pounding against the ground as they raced up the narrow stairs, urgency propelling them higher. Stay close. She yelled, adrenaline surging through her veins. They burst through the door at the top, shoving it closed behind them. The shrill sound of their pounding hearts mixed with the darkness beyond the edge of night closing on them. Wait, what now? The girl whispered, panic giving way to despair as Jenna felt her resolve dilate and compress. The world outside was even darker than before, with shadows lurking just beneath the flickers of light. Find something heavy. The stranger urged, searching desperately for anything to barricade the door. They scrambled the old crates, pulling and tossing until the door was blocked, hoping against hope it would hold. This should buy us some time, he said, breathless but determined. But Jenna felt her stomach twist. A sickening dread rooted her in place. What if it doesn't? She whispered. We'll figure it out, the girl mumbled, trembling at Jenna's side. And just like that, the weight of uncertainty settled thick upon them. They huddled together, breaths heaving in a silence pierced only by the sound of the chaos below. Then, with a bolt of clarity, Jenna turned to the stranger. You said I'm the key, she said, her voice steadying. What does that mean? What do they want from me? He paused, worry etching deeper into his features. I think they're looking for something more than just you being a witness. It's connected to whatever they're planning, something only you can stop. Stop. The gravity of his words tugged at her very core. Jenna could almost faint with the weight of responsibility. What if I can't? She breathed, impossible thoughts spiraling, but he shook his head, determination igniting his gaze. You have to. We need to look for what they want. You have something special, a power, a truth that can reveal everything. The girl's eyes darted between them, silence thickening as they took in the enormity of their situation, shadows licking the walls around them like hungry flames. Then let us find it. Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together. With a sudden resolve, Jenna faced the spark of fear climbing inside her, igniting to form something else, an ember of willingness to confront whatever lay ahead. Let us do this, she said, though the world around her felt uncertain, squeezing tighter around her heart. They moved deeper into the darkness together, hearts pounding like war drums in the silence, as they prepared to uncover truths hidden within shadows cast by their own fears. As they ventured into the depths of the undiscovered, Jenna hoped against hope that light awaited them on the other side, but she knew they had ignited a battle far beyond themselves. This wasn't just about survival anymore, it was about standing against the shadows and reclaiming a truth lost in the dark. And with that thought, a vow twisted deep within her spirit, burning brighter than fear. Then something shifted in the air beyond them, a whisper threading through the darkness, a promise echoed loudly in the night, urging them to keep fighting, keep searching. They would uncover the truth. They had to. And as they took their first steps toward destiny, every heartbeat sang, defiant and strong, ready to confront the approaching storm of fate together. Now, dear friends, this is your moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to ensure you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories coming your way. Smash that like button now to keep the algorithm working in our favor. It really helps out, and flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. I want to hear everything. Lastly, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this conclusion. Every single action matters, and only real fans understand how important it is to keep the community strong. Don't wait even one more second to lend your voice.